Thank you, Bianca. Welcome, everyone. I'm very happy to be speaking with you today and sharing a little bit about what we do and the beauty of animal-assisted interactions, especially working with schools and for changing behaviors of both adults and children. So let me see here. Again, as Bianca said, we're 501c3 pending right now. And this little girl was probably one of our first visitors to our facility. And it was just amazing. She is a child with severe learning disabilities. And during her visit, the family came and she wasn't speaking a lot. And they said that she did speak rarely at school. She had been on home hospital and she was now in 2nd grade and was having a difficult time fitting into the traditional school setting. And her cousin also came with her. And I'd say within 5 to 10 minutes of her being with Leo, and this is our Leopold, we call him our Zen master. And I'll tell you a little bit about the animals that we use because they are part of our team. I gave her the brush, held the lead rope, put hand over hand, and helped her actually to brush the animal. And the first thing she did was she had been stimming with her hands, shaking, and she stopped the stimming and she asked what the horse's name was. And then we took her on a little walk. We have a walking path that's in the shape of a peace sign, so we can do lefts and rights and straights and curves. And there were 6 other minis at the time out by the fence, and she wanted to know each and everyone's name, and each time we passed, she would repeat their names. So it's unbelievably powerful what these little animals can do for humans. And so she's one of our big successes. And it's very gratifying to see these things happen. Again, as Bianca said, our mission is to rehabilitate souls, human and equine, through positive interactions. It's all experiential. It's all about the experience. Now, let's move to the next. Again, this is our mission, and we do several things. We do attend community events. This was a CAP partnership in Jurupa Valley. And what we do at the community events is we have our information booth, our tables, the people, children and adults get to interact with the minis, and then we have coloring pages so the kids can actually take something back with them, stickers, things like that. And then up here, up at the top of the screen, we were lucky enough to be invited to Live on Green, which is the pre-Rose Parade celebration in Pasadena. And Dana Devon was actually interviewing Bob Eubanks, who, if you watch the Rose Parade, he was a commentator for many, many years, and he's quite the equestrian himself. So it was an honor for us to be there, and the minis were very good. If I apologize for any dog noises in the background, but we'll try and keep them quiet. Okay, why did we choose horses? Well, I had been riding since probably the age of 4, and as an adult had an accident on one of my horses, and the nasty cancer of fear crept in. So being 61 years young, I decided that riding might not be my forte any longer, though I do have a horse right now who I do enjoy riding. So we decided to focus on mini horses. And with my background in education, I decided what better vehicle for teaching social skills, because that was my last job before I retired, was positive behaviors, interventions, and supports, which is basically I was helping teachers, administrators deal with difference that today's students and adults are bringing into a classroom setting. So we had been volunteering at SoCal Miniature Horse Sanctuary in Hammett, and we decided that we would adopt. And because mini horses are not like ponies, if any of you have experienced ponies, some ponies tend to be a little bit nippy, snippy, things like that. So we decided we would stick with the miniature horses. Why horses over dogs? Well, horses have a very unique sense of being able to read the energy of the environment. They're very social animals. They're like humans. They like to be in groups. They like to be in herds. And they're very, very genuine. And they're able to actually go into your soul, basically, so to speak, and see if you are really who you say you are. And this is why we're so successful. Any animal therapy. Wounded warriors are using large horses now for a lot of PTSD and a lot of issues that our vets are coming back with. We are completely on the ground. We do not ride. I'm also EGALA certified, which means I'm an equine specialist, and I can work with a therapist in a therapeutic setting where we use 1 to 5 horses, and the client paints their picture using props, and the horses are actually part of a team. And it's very successful, especially with trauma, people with eating disorders, again with PTSD. It's what can't be broken through in a face-to-face counseling setting can really happen inside an arena using the horses. And they're legitimate. They can sense the environment because they're prey animals. They have to rely on what's around them. There's always a joke amongst horse people. They say horses are afraid of 2 things: things that move, things that don't move, meaning they're basically what's going to be eaten. So they have a very high sense of reading the environment, which is really great, because giving an example of my own fear with riding after my fall, I would slather myself with lavender oil, put lavender oil on my horse, and think that I was just fine. But he could feel my anxiety. He could feel my tension, even though in my mind I was saying, I've got this covered. So this is why we chose horse as the animal to use for our social skills program. Now, these pictures here were taken at the TAE, the University Behavioral Health Center, had an open house earlier, well, actually at the end of 2019. And again, the benefits of using equine horses for therapy and interactions is they build confidence. As you saw with the little girl on the first slide, she wasn't able to speak. But through the magic that these little animals possess, it brings out wonderful things in both adults and in children. They can help children with self-efficacy. And if you see some of the later slides, you'll see little tiny, maybe 2.5, 3-year-olds that, with our guidance, are leading the horses. They're much bigger than they are. The horses are much bigger than the clients, but they're able to feel that they have a sense of control and a sense of empowerment. And it's really not control over a creature, it's control over their ability to make positive decisions and positive actions. That also works with self-concept. It helps them become more positive. It helps them, of course, with communication. We talk about the horses. We talk about the parts of the horses. When we're doing our elementary presentations, we always have to say, whether we're bringing our mares, which are the female horses, or our geldings, which are the male horses, you know, you might see some parts, and of course the kids will giggle, but we explain to them that horses come in male and female as well, and we explain to them what is, and it's no longer a bone of contention. It really helps build trust because, again, they're very perceptive and they know when someone's afraid of them, and they know when they can trust a human, and it's all working in a partnership. With decreased isolation, the client feels part of the herd, so to speak. And again, humans and horses are social beings. It also helps with self-acceptance and with impulse control, and we'll be getting more into the behaviors as we continue with the presentation. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about socio-sensual awareness. And the definition of that is the ability of someone else's moods to affect us at as physical as well as emotional levels, and vice versa. When you're in a classroom and students start bouncing off of each other, it can be a real problem for the instructor. And so what we do is, when we talk about our Just Say Whoa to Bullying, which is a program developed by Shelly Mizrahi in Florida. For our elementary, we use her program, and then we also have a middle school and high school program, which I'll be talking a little bit about later, for the older kids. But excuse me. Students have a tendency to want to bounce off of each other, and when the animals are brought into the picture, they have something that they can focus on. And what we found is that some of the students with the greatest disabilities, and not just physical disabilities, but with emotional disabilities, they have all been wonderful when it comes time to work with the actual horses. We've been doing a lot of work in Moreno Valley and with the severe emotionally disturbed group, students with severe emotional disturbances, and they've just been wonderful. They listen, they're able to focus, they know that safety is paramount, safety is key. So before we start our lessons, we always review the safety procedures. And we're just so pleased with the respect that the students are showing the animals, and in turn the animals are also giving them the respect. So we were at an event, University Behavioral Health Center. The nurses were there, and of course it was a Christmas event. So we had two of our boys, Leo, which is the brown and white horse, which we call an Appaloosa, and Duke, which is a black and white pinto. The nurses all asked if they could have their pictures taken with them, because they actually become quite the celebrity. Let me tell you a little bit about the horses too. I should have done that at the very beginning. When we decided to start this venture, we had the choice of buying horses or adopting horses, which we still had to purchase them. So we decided that what better model for students to see that just because you might not have the best designer outfits or credentials, that you can still be viable and worthwhile. So we decided to adopt. So Leo, the brown and white one, and the black and white one, Duke, they actually came from a Mississippi kill pen. And the brown and white one, Leopold, was kept in a hog crate, so his hind legs lock. It's called locking stifle. but with rehabilitation and with work, he was able to walk in the 2018 Rose Parade, which was titled Making a Difference. And I have to say that all of our animals definitely are making a difference. And what better model for all humans is to show that with grit and determination, you can do anything that you want to do. Duke, the black and white one, he's also come from a Mississippi kill pen. And in Mississippi, they were destined to be slaughtered, and then the meat was going to be sent to another country. And people get these animals and they think that they're like dogs. Our largest one is probably 33 inches at the shoulder, and they're horses. They're equines. They have vet bills like horses do. They eat like horses do. Yes, they come in the house because they have to do that as part of their training. But they are horses. They're not just big dogs. So people don't understand that, and then they get rid of them. And so we've adopted all of them. The little one that you see on the screen here with a little girl that says making the change on her shirt, that's Brittany. She was actually found on Craigslist and had been part of a drug deal. And when the sanctuary drove to Sacramento to adopt her, she still had the umbilical cord attached. So we've been working with her since she was probably about 4 weeks old. And then our littlest little fellow, Ronan, he was born to a pregnant mare from Mississippi. We also have a mini mule. Her name is Twinkle Toes, and if you ever see us on Facebook, you will see Twinkle Toes. She is our mascot and is full of personality. We don't take her out on visits because, being the wonderful personality and mule that she is, we can't always guarantee her behavior. And she actually was slated to walk with Leo in the Rose Parade, but at 11 o'clock on December 31st decided that getting into the trailer was not what she was going to do, so she missed her once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But we love Twinkle just the same. But we can move on now. And you see here our boys in action. And as the slide says, horses demand authenticity. If you've seen the movie The Horse Whisperer, you can see where sometimes you have to sit for hours before a horse will gain your trust to do something. Even in movies with humans, if you ever saw Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams, time, patience, and truthfulness are the ways to make changes. And the horses can sense in the children and in adults if you are a person of integrity. They respond to thoughtful leadership. They look for an alpha. They look for a leader for their own protection and safety. They look for people who are mentally and physically balanced. And this is why they're so great to be used in counseling. And I am not a therapist. Again, I'm the equine specialist, but when you're working through with the A.U.M. model in counseling, sometimes the clients are not balanced themselves, and the animals can sense that. And when they can delve deep inside themselves and get control of their own emotions, their path, their journey to healing is made complete. And if any of you have read Daniel Goleman in Emotional Intelligence, he talks about how emotions have a mind of their own, and one which can hold views quite independently of our rational mind. And that has to do with a lot with brain chemistry. Horses are fight or flee animals. And when we're in situations as humans where we have to make that decision, our amygdala is what the part of our brain that takes over. Our neocortex doesn't even know that an event's happened, and sometimes we're moved towards acting a certain way. And you see that a lot in students. A lot of that has to do with the way that their brains are wired now with technology. They're wanting the actual information bits, and to sit in the classroom and watch a human speak for 10 to 20 minutes, their brain is not wired to do that, and they don't know how to react to that, so they act out. And assaulting others, hurting themselves, or assaulting staff. So we help in those situations. A person who I really admire and who wrote a book called The Tao of Equus, and I'll just read that. A person who is emotionally incongruent, who acts one way while feeling the opposite, appears dangerously out of focus to the equine awareness system. This is what I've been talking about. You have to want honesty when you're working with these animals, and the students learn that right away. A lot of students who have the fear of the horse, suddenly when they watch others be able to brush, lead, walk, it builds their confidence to try it as well. Now, as far as behaviors, if you see there that children emerging from uncertain beginnings, which usually are trauma-informed, usually have a number of social problems, and they're often blamed for behaving badly. Again, these are lagging skills. A lot of these behavioral skills weren't learned in the home. And so where else to learn them but at school? Being overreactive to things, being impulsive, being anxious, being angry, being hypersensitive. These are all social skills that we work on through our programs. Now, bullying. We started with bullying, and it's grown to include social skills. 71% of students are reporting bullying as a problem in their schools, and this is 2019 data. Teachers intervene in only 1 of 25 bullying incidents. They're so subliminal. We have internet bullying, face-to-face bullying, physical bullying, words which are just as powerful as actual physical violence. 3.2 million students are bullied each year in schools, and the average bullying episode lasts for 37 seconds. One of our local middle schools unfortunately lost a student this year due to bullying, and the actual incident was only 17 seconds long. And bullying is a learned behavior, and we can overcome it. Here are the programs which we use. Just say whoa to bullying, and it's We Help Others Always. So we give a presentation to the students, and then every student is allowed to come up and interact with one of the minis. Galloping Towards Great Behavior uses our E.M.P.O.W.E.R program, which is a curriculum that I designed for social skills teaching. We do mini reading roundups where we go into libraries and have students actually read to the minis. We just have a Friends program where we can go into senior and assisted living facilities and have them greet the residents, and then again special community events. The Just Say Whoa to Bullying is very, very powerful at the elementary level. And again, it's We Help Others Always. Students are given information. The staff also participate. We hold up the cards. I also teach a sign for the W, the H, the O, and the A so that they can remember it. And there's follow-up word searches and contests for random acts of equineness. In the class that can have 3 random acts of equineness filled out by the week after our visit, then we give them a pony party. Galloping Towards Great Behavior, we use E.M.P.O.W.E.R, and it's every person has value, model kindness, positive attracts positive, own our own actions, walk the talk, encourage others, and respect all life. And this is a 7-week program. So we have a lesson for each. We start with a restorative circle. We usually like to have 10 students, participants in the group. The session lasts for about a half an hour, so with a 2-hour session, we usually work the minis for no more than 2 hours at a time. We can see 40 students, and we use current music, current literature, current student culture to kind of help teach the lessons. So we start with the restorative circle, and then we end with a mini moment to ponder, which is their lesson that they have to have completed before our next visit. And here's some of the students that have gone through the E.M.P.O.W.E.R program. And be it horses or humans, we both need thoughtfulness, cooperation, respect, and intellectual curiosity to develop. And in order for this to happen, people have to feel safe. And the animals also need to feel safe. So we're beneficial to both equines and to humans. We help each other. And I love this quote from Animals as in Natural Therapy. As hearts start to mend and learning becomes successful, people of all ages, genders, and economic backgrounds begin to rebuild their lives. And you can see that's Duke's eye up there, and that's our little Ronan, our littlest boy. This is at an elementary school. There's a world in their eyes, and I just feel very honored and fortunate to work with them. This is our vet. We are a nonprofit. Our fees for visits are very, very low, and our vet bills, because we have to keep our animals healthy, are of course high. So we appreciate any and all help. And I thank you so much for allowing me to present what we do for the Riverside County communities at large. So I thank you again for listening. And I guess that there was a sound issue. Bianca?
Least as possible. So I will type any question, and if you can read them on your end. I will type any question, and if you will read them on your end.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
How many visits do you go on a month? It depends. We usually try, because it takes us 2 days. We're trying to fundraise for a barn right now. So for each event, it's 2 days of prep, because we have to keep them clean before we go out. So if we do once a week right now, that's about all that we can handle. If it's a community event scheduled in there, we can do a few more. But when I take them out to the school sites, I like to make sure that they're fresh, clean, and ready to go. How much it costs to book the minis. Our fees, again, are very, very low. We charge $100 for 2 minis for 2 hours. And so for the social skills program, I think that's 7 lessons, so it would be $700 for a 7-week program, which is extremely low. Do we sign up by reaching out to you via the information on the slide? Yes, just send me an email to A.U.M. minitherapy@gmail.com, and we can arrange any assistance that you might need. We are insured up to $2 million to take the animals to facilities. We're working on being able to have our homeowners policy increase so that we can actually do more group visits on site. Clients can come to us, but again, we're waiting for our homeowners insurance to get back with us that we're insured, because we wouldn't want anything to happen. Yes, we do work with children who have autism, children with autism. And actually, they're very, very beneficial working with kids with autism. How long is one-on-one class? We don't work the minis for more than 2 hours during a session. So if it's the social skills Empower program, we work with 10 students each half hour for 40 students. If we're doing an elementary assembly, they usually group the kids into 20-minute 15 minutes of our assembly, and then 15 minutes of actual touching and interaction time, and we can do probably a 700 student elementary school in the 2 hours.
That we have for today. And I just want to go ahead and thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Debbie, I think that's all the questions that we have for today.
Awesome.
And I just want to go ahead and thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you, Bianca.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great rest of your
And
day.
Riverside Medical Clinic Charitable Foundation is awesome.
Thank you. You too. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.